Hi, guys. Thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Catherine and I tell true stories and facts. My facts today are why most of your workmates hate you. Why some workmates are just hated by almost everybody. I'm not saying that it's good to hate because it's the hater who is punishing their heart most of the time. Most of the hated people, of the hated employees, are hated not because of their positivity, but because of negativity. Well, there are those who are hated because of their positivity, and majority because of their negativity. Now, let's get to the point. I will talk about why some juniors, that is the lower class, the lower level workers are hated by others, and why some managers are hated by almost everyone. And the problem is, these people who are hated never really try to find out why they're hated, but they come up with a conclusion that everybody is jealous of them. About what? Well, if they think everybody is jealous about them, then they should try and find out about what. Because what makes you think that everyone is jealous about you is just your ego, because you think you're so big and that everybody hates you. If everybody seems to dislike you, you must be the problem. So look deep into your heart and see why. Wherever you appear, everybody seems to disappear. Appear, disappear. Or everybody seems to avoid you. Okay, let's come to the juniors. And this applies to most of the workplaces. These people, this applies to both bosses and juniors generally. These people, employees who like to take the credit of others. Somebody has really worked so hard on a project and you come and take their credit. When you see the other bosses, you try to paint a picture that this was done by you. You know, this was done by you. You're taking somebody's credit. Number two, the ones who never return what they borrow. You borrow from one department or you borrow from your workmates some equipment, and it will take an effort for the person who you borrowed from, to get it back. Why don't you just return what you borrowed without being followed? And to return it in a state that it was not in before. Why don't you return it in a better state? And that comes to another point. Those who like leaving places in a worse state than they found them. You go and find a very clean place. When you leave the place, you leave a mess. It's like you have some people to clean behind you. It's like you have hired somebody to clean behind you. And even if you have somebody who cleans after people, maybe a housekeeper, what is so hard about doing a simple task that will save somebody else energy? For example, coffee breaks. Most employees like taking coffees, teas, and they will not even dare wash a simple teaspoon. And so when the housekeeper comes and checks, they wonder whether there was no water. You know, something that takes a few seconds. Or some don't even have a housekeeper. but they will still leave the stuff for another staff to clean after them. It's like they hired the other staff to be cleaning after them. Of course, nobody will like you for that because you're known for the messes around. Another thing, the boss wannabes. People, employees who are self-appointed supervisors. You have not been appointed as a supervisor, but you act like one. And it's not like you're displaying your leadership skills. No, you're just ordering people around, even though they're in the right place. Tampering with people's departments or workstations or whatever, trying to show them what to do when exactly you have no idea yourself of what is going on around there, but you're trying to boss other people around. And especially when you see your boss, so you start calling them and ordering them around so that your boss can see that you have leadership qualities. And that brings us to another point. The employees who only work when their boss is around. When the boss is not around, they are doing totally nothing. And especially when there is a lot to be done. And when they see the bosses coming, they seem to be the busiest people. And they will work in areas where the bosses can see them, even if their work areas are a mess. And then we have these others. We just don't respect the other staff. You know, you don't respect other staff because you feel like you are the only one who deserves the respect. I don't know, maybe it's not your fault. Maybe you were not brought up to be respectful of other people. So probably that one will be an excuse. It's not your fault. You were brought up like that, probably. Not brought up, but you were born and probably just left like that. Then we have those employees. Maybe it's not also their fault, but they have an expression of disgust on their face always. You imagine you always meet somebody in the corridor who's always looking disgusted, I mean, a smiley face is always welcome more than a disgusted face. So people will always think you're annoyed at them or you're frowning at them or something like that. An expression of disgust, always like that. Maybe that's how you're born, we don't know. And then others, the ones, and especially for women and even men themselves, the ones who like to get favors from their bosses by sleeping with them. And when they sleep with their bosses, they start behaving like they're the bosses of everybody else. It's like there was some transmission of authority during the intimacy. Nobody likes those ones because it really messes the professionalism and it leads to lack of respect for the bosses, lack of respect for any other person in authority over them because they believe that because they've already done this with the boss, they are entitled to anything. Now let's come to the seniors, like now the bosses. If you're a boss and you think everybody just seems to hate you, these are some of the reasons. The ones who like favorism. A boss is supposed to be fair to everyone. But there are these bosses who really show You know, favorism, obvious favorism. Favorism as in they overlook their favorite mistakes. They ignore their mistakes. Woe unto any other staff who will commit even a smaller crime than their favorite people. Who will like them? The managers who like tampering with other departments. Who will like them? Who? The managers who like battering their top managers in order to protect themselves in case of any difficulties arising from the other departments or from the other workmates. And so they will hang on to the top management so that they're favored also by incompetent top managers. That is, if they favor their own managers over others. The managers who are scared of the juniors who look sharp than them, instead of encouraging their talent, they undergrade it. They make them feel like you're worth nothing. But in reality, they're scared of them. And of course, the dictators. Who likes a dictator? The idea stealers. You will bring an idea in your meeting, and he will dismiss the idea as being useless, only to see it later being implemented. And by who? By the boss who stole the idea from you and made it his own. And finally, those who like dividing the team. Those who like dividing the team, divide and rule. They love to see people fight. They will go and tell one staff about another staff just to make a division amongst the staff. They use the divide and rule system. And then they don't respect their juniors. Just because you are their junior, they will treat you like trash. They can do anything like you are my junior, so whatever I tell you, you do without questioning. Anyway, that's a dictator. So if you like my content, like, share, and subscribe. And last but not least, of course, again, those who are unprofessional. Anyway, all these things are unprofessional. All the mentioned facts. So next time you're walking around your premises and wonder why people don't like you, look into just some of this. There are more to that. Although there are people who are not liked because they're smart, well, that's not your fault. That is the fault of the haters. Ciao.